Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth from Elpis Astrology at elpisastrology.com. Thanks for joining me today. So this is my take on the astrological outlook for November 2023. And as always, you determine how you want to use these energies that I'm describing. I do use the whole house system when I do these predictions, and I use the ascendant mainly, but you can look at your sun sign too, just to get some extra information as well. And it really is what resonates with you, right? So we have a new moon in Scorpio, we have Saturn going direct, and we have a full moon in Gemini this month. We start off with Saturn going direct, and it will be going direct on the 4th of November at 0 degrees of Pisces. And of course, 0 degrees of any sign is a critical degree, and it really represents sort of like a ushering in this new energy. And the new energy we're talking about, of course, is Pisces and Saturn in that energy, right? So it's starting Saturn on its official path forward in the sign of Pisces once again, although remember we did have it initiated in March of 2023. So this is positive, right? Saturn represents the rules. It represents things like it's about time. It represents karma. So ushering in this new energy at the beginning of the month can indicate those types of things, can also indicate new rules and regulations, generally speaking, right? On the 5th of November, interestingly, we have this third quarter moon, which is the moon really before it becomes the new moon, right? And it is at 12 degrees of Leo. And recall, in September, we had Venus going direct at what? 12 degrees of Leo. So for those folks that really made some strides forward with regards to, relationships, money, values, whether it was to end some way of doing these, either of these or any of these three things, or all of these three things. This is kind of a supportive energy that says, hold on here, hold on to me as we head towards that new moon and your official start again in whatever it is that you've wanted to make new, right? Now, in most cases, I'm thinking of those folks that either established a new relationship or a new way of doing a relationship in September. This gives you support for that. Now, it can bring it the support in like a one last test or an understanding inside yourself that, yeah, I made the right decision. That type of thing, that type of energy can come in prior to the new moon because it's at that point that Venus went direct early in September, right? So that's interesting that it actually falls on the same day as this quarter moon that we turn our clocks back. Now, the 9th of November, we have Mercury sextiling Pluto. Well, this brings in some opportunities, positive opportunities, to make some sort of discussions, powerful discussions with powerful people. On the 10th and the 11th of November, we have that Mercury, though, squaring Saturn. And so this is kind of the opposite of that. It's potentially, I'm thinking more on a collective or global level, ignoring the rules and regulations and just making a decision and announcing that you're going to do it your way. That's that whole Mercury square Saturn here, right? Kind of disobeying the parents, ignoring the rules and regulations. So that's the 10th and 11th of November. So this leads up and ushers into our first new moon in Scorpio. So Happy New Year to all my Scorpio folks, including my daughter Allison. Her birthday is very close to this, so she's got her newness for this new moon is going to last for the whole year for her. And so this new moon in Scorpio on the 13th of November is at 20 Scorpio, 43 minutes at 1:26 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, the ruler of this moon, there are two of them. The modern one, of course, is Pluto, and the more ancient one, of course, is Mars. And so we always look to see, well, where are both of these planets? Because they will influence that moon in Scorpio. So the good thing is we have Pluto as direct, and it's at 28 degrees of Capricorn. Now, this isn't really a sextile. It's what you call a wide sextile, but at least it's positive from the standpoint that a wide sextile is formed and that Pluto is direct. Now, Mars we see at 22 of Scorpio. Well, it conjuncts that moon and the sun. Now, what this can bring in, if you have this degree point aspected in your chart, the 22 degrees of Scorpio, 21, 22, 23, this is going to be opposite to the Taurus Uranus. And so at its best, this positive side of this energy can bring in almost like this breaking of chains. So it's like you've been maybe working hard to change something, to get somewhere, putting lots of effort in. And this new moon says, oh, I can feel myself breaking free of this and moving forward. So that's the best way that this energy can play out. The more negative side of this, of course, is if you look at just straight Mars, a fighter and feisty and aggressive, opposite unexpected explosions and energy, Uranus. In opposition, these two planets can literally create an explosion. And that could play out in something like earthquakes, for instance, or volcanoes, that type of thing. But it can also play out, again, I think collectively, in unexpected fighting, probably like military. The Mars does represent the military too, right? So there may be a lot of fighting that goes on. Scorpio is very much a secretive sign, and it's really aspected strongly here, not just by the moon and the sun, but also by the fact that Mars is also in Scorpio, opposing that Uranus. So there may be some unexpected things that pop up at this time that can also be psychological, because Scorpio also represents the psychological side of ourselves too. And Scorpio does represent money too, right? So there could be some unexpected new start. Maybe the Fed in the USA will announce that they're going to reduce the interest rates, and we can see mortgages coming more up to be taken by folks and getting homes. And that's all possible. But I see this more as more aggressive moves of some sort, more on a collective level. But remember, there's a positive side too. We have Venus that is in Libra will be sextiling Mercury. Now, Mercury is just, if you look at the chart that I'd put up, Mercury is just in around 4 degrees or so of Sagittarius. And I can tell you that that's a good thing. I know it's in its detriment and not necessarily positive when we look at it individually. But the fact that we have Mercury just outside the auspices of Mars, but in a different sign, in a very positive, forward thinking, future thinking, optimistic frame of mind, right? So if we take this whole Mercury side of it in Sagittarius, it's positive thinking. So I'm thinking that this also new moon could have, I almost see it as a background sort of noise where there are people trying hard to see a better future. Right? Because Sagittarius can represent seeing into the future as well. It also represents, religious beliefs, philosophical beliefs. So this could have a discussion of those things going on, in addition to the more assertive and potentially aggressive side of this new moon. So I like that. And the fact that it's Venus, and then Venus in Libra really speaks to diplomatic relations. So don't doubt that there's also the diplomatic relations going on, seeking harmony and seeking balance in the background. We have Saturn in a wide sextile to Pluto. Again, these are positive energies. This is opportunities for folks in power to talk about the rules and the regulations. Maybe even to talk about karma, right? And then we've got Saturn widely square that whole Mercury. So this says, I'm sticking my heels in the ground, that's Saturn, with the square. with regards to how I think about this and the way I'm going to talk about it, but especially how I think about this. So it's like diplomacy being offered to you and you're saying, yeah, but my religious beliefs are very important and I'm not going to budge on them. So there's this back and forth, right? Now, interestingly also, and this sort of in me ties up the new moon in a positive way. We have the moon, we have the sun, and we have Mars, all in Scorpio, trining Neptune. I know Neptune is retrograde at this time, but what does this say to me? One word: hope. Hope and inspiration is also existing in this new moon that has a lot of aggressive stuff to it. It also speaks to, hope with regards to philosophical beliefs. Can we come to the middle ground and talk? So if any of you have something going on like this, where there's a difference in sort of philosophical beliefs, even religious beliefs, this trine is going to really put some positive energy into you being inspired that, well, maybe there is a middle ground after all. On the 22nd and the 23rd of November, we have another sextile, and that's going to be Mars sextiling Pluto, and remember, Pluto is direct at this time. But we're also going to have a square, and that's going to be Mars continuing to square Saturn. And so it's like these two energies, I saw it almost like a seesaw back and forth, and maybe in the collective world of ours, we're going to see that. That energy is put into trying to change, say, positions, people in power, but at the same time, you've got energy being put into keeping things the same. But I'll tell you, if you use that Mars square Saturn in a positive way, it means working hard to put these rules and regulations in place. It means working hard to make this the time to make those changes. Right, next, we're going to have the full moon in Gemini. And this full moon is at 4 Gemini, 51 minutes, on the 27th of November at 1:17 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So for Geminis, this is a wrap-up. This is an ending of some sort. This is a culmination where things that you started maybe 6 months ago, you can see wrapping up. And as I always say in my videos, just because it's a full moon doesn't mean something's going to be bad and it's going to end. It could be that you're wrapping up some big project and you can see the end of it. Maybe even some writing project. We see Gemini as writing, communications. It can also refer to diplomacy as well. So this could also see, a wrap up in that area too, not only in a collective global level, but for you individually. So the ruler of Gemini is Mercury, of course. And it is in opposition to Sagittarius. So we have it at 24 Sagittarius. And of course, this is squaring that Neptune at 24 of Pisces. So this says we've got to work hard here. Work hard, and I say this is probably an international component because Sagittarius also rules foreign things, foreign places. But it's also like our philosophies too. And then Neptune can also be more along perhaps like the spiritual religious side, but Sagittarius can be too. So I see there's going to be a clash here with regards to how I think, how I communicate about my philosophies and beliefs. And that's kind of a big sort of theme for this full moon in Gemini. We could even see collectively people standing up in a pulpit, espousing these and saying how important they are. Certainly it's important to communicate, but of course the next word to use is negotiate. And there's potential here, but there's a lot of, again, using that sort of sentence of digging our heels in, to try to see both sides, right? And that's the other thing about Gemini. It really is asking you to include other people and to see their point of view. And so this full moon is going to be focusing on a lot of that, working with others so that everyone can benefit here. Hearing, right? Both sides, and thinking through, Gemini, what you should say, where there's a coming together as opposed to a coming apart. When we look at Mercury, again, it's trining the north nodes in Aries. So this is very positive. It's let's talk about our future as a group, right? Let's talk about that. And let's put something new in place. That's Aries. Aries is saying, let's move forward with something new here. We can be individuals, but let's do it in a harmonious way. We have the sun is going to be conjuncting Mars. And of course then, because it's a full moon, both the sun and Mars will be opposite to the moon. And so this could bring in a little bit of assertive energy with regards to people speaking, maybe some people speaking out of turn. Remember that Gemini is an air sign, and so it's not like this fiery, a fire sign where I'm not going to give up what I think and what I want to say, even though this does emphasize that speaking out of turn in some respects. Gemini puts a lighter tone on the whole thing, right? And so this is, I believe, someone, stating what they think and putting it in words, maybe standing up, presenting, that type of thing. And in fact, that type of aspect could have some people individually, if this full moon at 4 or 5 degrees of Gemini affects you, you could make maybe some effective presentation at this time, or present your case at this time from documents that you've written, right? We have Venus conjuncting the South Node. So this is wonderful too. South Node types of things, we like to say letting go of them. And of course, it supports the fact that a full moon says endings and letting go. And so this says to me that there's a request here from the universe to ask you to let go of old ways of doing relationship, of perhaps your money, but it's also referring to our values. And I also see this as, women could be in the mix here. So I think that this is letting us all know that we can do things differently with regards to those areas. So that's love, relationships, money, and our values. And it really emphasizes, in my mind, as last month we had that whole yod, right, pointing at this South Node. This may be a wrap-up of some of us individually letting go of relationships, letting go of old ways of doing relationships and embracing new ones. But maybe also our money too. That let go of old ways of dealing with your money and put ones in place that give you better balance in your life. Because that South Node, of course, is in Libra, which is all about balance and harmony, right? So staying with Venus conjuncting that North Node, it goes right the way through the 30th of November 2023 as an exact. So it's an important thing that I've just spoken about. Well, good luck to everybody in November. When we look at December, yay, we have that Neptune going direct. But we do have a Mercury retrograde, and it's an interesting Mercury retrograde because it's going to start in very conservative Capricorn, but spend a lot of its time in future-oriented, optimistic, positive, risk-taking Sagittarius. And speaking of Sagittarius, you will have a new moon there, full moon in Cancer. And of course, that full moon in Cancer is the second full moon. That's unusual in a year. I'll talk about that next month. And then we have Jupiter going direct, literally the last day of December, the 31st of December, 2023. All right, talk about that more next month for you guys, right? So let's now move on to the ascendants or sun signs, whatever resonates with you. Capricorn, this new moon favorably sextiles your sign in Scorpio. and it involves your 11th house. So this literally could have you, Capricorn, developing new relationships of some sort that are friendships, a new relationship with groups that you belong to or that you want to belong to. Maybe you're going to be given opportunities to, get entrance to a group that you've not had a chance to get into at this point. But new friends should be coming your way for sure, or at least you're going to have the opportunities to do that. The other thing that this rules too, of course, is your hopes and wishes. So for some Capricorns, you may get opportunities, to see some of your hopes and wishes come true here. Now, Scorpio does rule the psychological sides of ourselves, but it also rules money, especially other people's money. So maybe some money thing is involved here too. Maybe you've wanted to earn more money in your business. That's also the 11th house, by the way. And you start this new beginning, this new initiative that sees more money coming your way. The full moon in Gemini is in your 6th house. So the 6th house is a health house. It's also your day-to-day job. If you don't work, it's your day-to-day activities. So it says to me, there's some kind of culmination here. Maybe you're going to make a decision that you want to leave the job that you're in. And you decide to put together some kind of communication saying that, right? Because we're talking about Gemini here, that full moon. It can also be the culmination or ending of maybe bad health that you've had. And you can see the end of it now, that whatever you've been doing to implement good health is now paying off for you. And it's a pleasant ending for you, that the bad health is behind you. For others, it could be some kind of communication, maybe some kind of group effort that you've been working on. You can finally put the final touches to, and you can say, wow, okay, guys, we produced the document and it's all done. That could also be something. If you don't work, it could be, like I said, the things that you do day to day, you decide to change them up. Or for some reason, it ends. Like say you belong to a book club or something like that, and then a couple people in that book club decide they don't want to participate anymore, and it closes down. And you have to look at a new way of what you do day to day. All right, take care, Capricorn. Okay, folks, well, that wraps up my take on November. As always, I would love to do your chart. Everything is below to communicate with me. I'm wishing everyone the best of luck here in November. Hopefully it's going to be a more settled month for most folks after we finished those 2 eclipses, powerful eclipses in October. Stay tuned for my December 2023. I'm also going to be, from the looks of it, with my subscribers, probably doing my first live YouTube. I'm thinking sometime in December, if I keep getting subscribers up to the 10,000 mark. It's almost hard to believe 10,000 subscribers, but thank you very much for everyone that has subscribed. It absolutely means everything to me. So stay tuned for that. I'll also be doing my 2024 year ahead pretty soon. I'll try to do that in November and get that out. But yeah, keep an eye out. If you're subscribed and hit the bell, you'll get notification. Lots of love to everybody. I'm wearing my little heart necklace here. That's a pink stone to send love out to everybody, and lots of happiness too. Take care, everyone, and bye for now.